Gaming is a weird world, and every month gameranx puts together some of the weirdest stuff we've seen for the last 30 days. Hi folks, it's Falcon, and today on gameranx, the weird gaming stories of June 2021. Starting off at number 10, this is a kinda sad one. Developer Joel Burgess from Bethesda announced that his dog River had died. Now, obviously that sounds sad, but it probably affects Fallout 4 fans a little more than you'd think. River was actually dog meat from Fallout 4. Dog meat from Fallout 4 is entirely based on River. Joel Burgess was actually specifically somebody who worked on dog meat, obviously, as well as an NPC programmer in a lot of areas of the game. But Burgess also talked about in a Twitter thread memorializing the dog how River inspired him to try to have a companion that would take care of you and have a loving, protective, outgoing personality was a big priority for him. Animator Gene Simonette of the team also went out on a walk, which inspired Dogmeat's behavior because River would walk out ahead of Burgess and stop to look back and check on him. Obviously, Dogmeat is an adorable addition to Fallout and really filled out a lot of the areas of the game that I think benefited from having the personality. And in all honesty, I didn't really know the story of River anyways. On one hand, it's nice to hear about. On the other, it's not so nice to hear about when the dog dies. At number 9, a significantly less emotional one. Obviously, Cloud's Buster Sword from Final Fantasy VII is iconic. We all know what I'm talking about without even showing a picture of it, even though we did. But I'll go ahead and share a weird one with you. Square Enix is actually now offering a Buster Sword silicone ice tray, meaning you put some water into the ice tray, put it in the freezer, and out will come a little, very cold Buster Sword in a few hours. You want to make your drink cold? You put the Buster Sword in it. Or you like stab something with it. It's a sword. A cold sword. Overall, this is just a strange thing to do. Although I have to admit, I don't hate the idea of it at all. That sounds weird and silly to be able to make an ice Buster Sword and stab stuff with it. Like, the silly thought I've come up with immediately is taking Jello and cutting it with the Buster Sword. I don't know why that sounds like a fun idea, but it does. That's also probably weird though. So if you're interested in this video, obviously you will thank me for sharing that. At number 8, a man spent $22,000, yes, that much money, on a League of Legends e-girl. To be specific, an e-girl that he hired to play League of Legends with him, to the tune of $22,000. And then he asked her out, and she said no. So he tried to sue her for the $22,000. Ugh, my guy, that is not the basis for a lawsuit, friend. Also, can we just talk about how weird it is you can hire e-girls for tens of thousands of dollars to play video games with you, and then when you do that and they don't go out with you, you sue them? Like, every aspect of this is just weird to the 10th degree. But the lawsuit, it was literally immediately thrown out because obviously when you use an app to pay somebody $22,000 to play a video game with you, there are things like the terms of service which you agree to by making use of the app, which, well, stops you from suing for things like this. Like, this is obviously weird, but I would also call it dumb too. At number 7, a $77 million PUBG cheating empire got busted by the Chinese cops, and the founder escaped it. Now, like I said, this was a $77 million PUBG cheating empire. The police were able to seize about $46 million in assets. This was all gained by selling a cheat system that Cheat Ninja, the operation billed as the best PUBG cheating solution, to subscribers for between $10 and $15 monthly, and apparently they were bringing in at least $350,000 a month, which is a whole hell of a lot of money. Like, if I saw that in a year, I would be astonished with my bank account. I don't even know how many years I would have to work to have that much money. They were doing it in a month of cheating in video games. The founder, of course, escaped from the police, which is amazing. And when Cheat Ninja disappeared, a bunch of pretenders came up and tried to use the Cheat Ninja brand. Talk about a successful cheating operation. Jeez, it makes you wonder why you do honest work sometimes. And number 6, a lawsuit filed by Booker T, the WWE Hall of Fame wrestler, against Activision for Call of Duty Black Ops 4, in which he claimed that Prophet was using the likeness of Booker T's G.I. Bro character, and Activision argued that a facial expression is not something you can copyright, and that is not a signature pose, but rather generic. The court sided with Activision, of course, and though I would normally be for the individual versus the massive corporation, I gotta say I agree. It's the type of thing where if you could copyright it, then literally a huge number of people are in copyright infringement. You can't copyright poses and facial expressions. It's not something you can do. Are you gonna copyright the word the? Try to sue people for using the word the? It's that kind of situation. Not to that extent, I'm exaggerating a little for making it obvious, but it's the same thing. Also, Prophet literally looks nothing like Booker T. At number 5, somebody, for some reason, I'm not going to make any characterizations, decided to figure out exactly how many polygons were in the Resident Evil 1 character models and compare it to the number of polygons in Lady Dimitrescu's butt cheek. Apparently, an entire Resident Evil character model takes up about one butt cheek. Now, looking at the actual diagram, yes, there is a diagram, but according to this diagram, it's not a full butt cheek, but it's most of a butt cheek. I don't know whether I consider it weirder that this person came up with this as a thing to do with their time, posted it. I don't know whether it's weird that it became popular. I don't know that it's weird that it actually kind of proves an alright point about how far video game visuals have come. And I don't know if it might be weird just that we're talking about it. We're giving this attention. That might be the weird part. Or if it's just all of it, all the way. It's weird all the way down. I'm gonna go with that. And number 4, apparently a door in Call of Duty Warzone in the salt mining facility instantly killed players for quite a while when they simply touched it. Now, this was a bug that did get patched out, but yeah, it was just instantaneous death if you touched the door. Now, as an on-purpose thing, this is pretty funny, actually. If you just run into the door, you end up falling over and dying. And frankly, that's really funny to witness. But when you don't know you're doing it, when you don't realize that there is a door that kills you because, well, that's dumb, that would be a very irritating thing to come up against. Now, again, thankfully, they did patch it out, but it's certainly not the first of very strange bugs that have cropped up in Warzone, like invisible helicopters, big holes in the map, stuff that they've really had to do a lot to fix. Killer door is one thing that you never expect to say, though. And number 3, a guy who was allowing people to download Nintendo ROMs, a ROM site owner, the guy who owned Rom Universe, decided to defend himself in court without an attorney and lost $2.1 million. Now, I will go ahead and say I support people attempting to archive old games in such a way, in that I don't even consider it piracy personally. However, the law does. And Matthew Storman found out the hard way that the law has a lot of intricacies and nuance that make it so. Just having a strong ethical position on a contentious issue doesn't actually fly as a defense. This was not his best day, I promise you that. That's a lot of money to own Nintendo when what you were doing was hosting pirated games. You probably weren't making a lot of money off that venture. At number 2, the US Senate passed a bill to spend $52 billion easing the chip shortage. Now, obviously the last year has had an effect on the manufacturing of computer chips. The US Senate said, you know what, that's something we need to alleviate here because, well, a lot of companies in the United States are not competing very well with companies overseas because of this. So the US Innovation and Competition Act finally got enough votes to pass through the Senate. It includes $52 billion being invested in the semiconductor industry alone. And if that actually works, you'll probably be building PCs again before you know it. Cross your fingers. And finally, at number 1, Ubisoft removed a GoldenEye set of maps for Far Cry 5 that a guy spent about 1,400 hours making. Now, a YouTuber by the name of Crawleywood recreated pretty much every level from GoldenEye 007 in the Far Cry 5 level editor and put it up for people to play it, and Ubisoft took it down. You know, because being able to play the GoldenEye 007 levels in Far Cry 5 is going to stop so many rareware GoldenEye 007 a Nintendo 64 cartridge sales, right? Never mind that it's a fantastic recreation of these things. You can look at the trailer for evidence of that. But nothing that allows you to relive some old gaming thing in a new gaming engine can ever really just be allowed to exist, can it? Because it's a market threat to something that is no longer on the market. Quick bonus for you, Microsoft decided to sell an Xbox Series X mini fridge, which will be available at the end of the year. Apparently, they made a full-size fridge and gave it away last November, but they thought, you know what, everyone deserves a mini fridge that looks like an Xbox Series X. Who can afford one? I guess. Weird. That's all for today, though. Leave us a comment, let us know what you think. If you like this video, click like. If you're not subscribed, now's a great time to do so. We upload brand new videos every day of the week. Best way to see them first is, of course, a subscription, so click subscribe. Don't forget to enable all notifications, and as always, we thank you very much for watching this video. I'm Falcon. You can follow me on Twitter, Falcon the Hero. We'll see you next time, right here on gameranx.